What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Weekends with Yam. I'm literally getting a phone call right now. I gotta turn this off. How dare they call me while I'm doing this video. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Weekends with Yam, where I sit down, I talk to you about things. You love it, I love it, it's so great. Today we are ranking the 650cc class of motorcycles. Possibly the most well-beloved class of bikes, I think. Probably the best selling, at least for Yamaha anyways, and probably for a lot of other manufacturers. Even for Ducati and their monster naked street bikes in this 650-ish cc class. They are very popular, very important for a lot of manufacturers, and today I'm going to rank them based on my opinion and experience with a lot of these bikes. So this one behind me right here, this Kawasaki Z650, is actually one of our giveaway motorcycles. If you want to find out how you can enter to win this 650 class bike, hit the link down below on yammie.co, sign up and become a member. You can get access to all of our sweepstakes there. We have beginner, intermediate, expert, and modern classic bike giveaways. You sign up there on the website, you get access to all those different sweepstakes. If you don't want to do that, you can go to the merch page, pick out a piece of merch, and get entered to win that way too. Every dollar you spend is an entry to win. Without further ado, let's rank the worst to best 650 class bikes in my opinion. All right, so at the bottom of our list for today is the Honda CBR 650R. Now, the reason that I picked the CBR 650R as the bottom of the list is because of price and because of a couple other things as well. This bike costs $96.99 on the showroom floor. That's almost a $10,000 MSRP on this thing, so it's a little bit overpriced in my opinion. Now, it's a fully faired motorcycle, which means it's a little bit more difficult to live with as well. You guys know that here on Yammie Noob, we preach the virtues of the naked motorcycle. Now, the reason we do that is because a naked bike is just easier to live with and easier to work on. So, being that it is a fully faired bike makes it a little bit worse in my opinion. Now, the suspension is nice on the CBR 650R. We had a CB650R here in the shop last year as one of our giveaway bikes, and that bike does make its way onto the list, so don't worry. But I think for the features that it has and all that kind of stuff, it's just not really worth it in my opinion. Now, coming up next on the list is the Suzuki SV650X. Now, why did I rank the SV650X so low on today's list? Well, the SV650X cost $8,399 and it was last updated in 2017 as part of a newly revitalized SV650 platform. But I think at that price point of $83,999, the X just makes itself a little bit difficult because it's really just a bit of a fairing, paint scheme, and new seat on that bike versus the SV650, which also makes an appearance later on this list as well. In my opinion, it's just not really worth it to get the X over the regular SV650 because you're just getting clip-ons and a couple little aesthetic farkles here and there. It is a pretty nice motorcycle. We recently had one as a giveaway bike as well earlier this year. You guys probably saw me ride and review that motorcycle quite a bit, and I do like the SV650X a lot, but in this category, I simply prefer to have bars and a naked look over the cafe racer thing that the SV650X goes for. The next motorcycle on today's list is the CB650R, the naked variant of the CBR 650R. Now, this motorcycle, although being one of the prettiest bikes on today's list, is just a little bit too expensive in my opinion for what you're getting. So it costs $9,199, which is a little spicy for the 650 class in my opinion. You're getting a Showa front suspension, which is pretty awesome. That's a pretty high-end component that you don't see on the 650 class that much. You get a 4-cylinder engine, so you get classic sport bike sounds out of this thing. But in my opinion, the CB650R just rides a little bit too seriously, a little bit too corporate, buttoned-up Honda for me to have fun with it. It's still a fantastic motorcycle and can actually hustle around a racetrack pretty decently well. I recently took one out to the racetrack. Wouldn't say recently, but earlier this year, we test rode the CB650R that we were giving away on the racetrack here at Harris Hill, and it actually did pretty well for what it was. The Honda is a pretty awesome motorcycle, but given the stiff competition we see in this category, it just doesn't make as much sense. Now, number 5 on today's list of 650 class bikes is actually the Kawasaki Z650. Now, the Z650 is going to cost you $72.49 on the showroom floor, so a pretty amenable price. The new 2020 has a TFT display. It's a pretty good package overall and is a handsome motorcycle. However, with the 649cc parallel twin that powers this motorcycle, makes about 70-ish horsepower, 65, something like that. It's just not as punchy and interesting of an engine as something like the MT07, as something like the CB650R. So I think that really lowers how good of a bike this is. This motorcycle also doesn't handle quite as interestingly as the MT07 or the SV650. It's a little bit just kind of boring. I recently put out a vlog explaining why I think this is a boring motorcycle, unfortunately, but that doesn't mean it's a bad motorcycle. I think the Z650 makes a very strong case for bang for buck in this category, but when you consider other offerings, it's difficult to say that this is the best of the best. However, with the 2020's release of the TFT and some of that other stuff, this thing is definitely a cut above those regular motorcycles that I just listed in this list. So the Z650 here does a pretty good job. Next up on the list, number 4 on the list, ascending from worst to best, is the Suzuki SV650. Now, it's the cheapest bike that we have on the list. It's $7,099 for this motorcycle, but in 2021, it's looking a little bit long in the tooth. This motorcycle got updated in 2017, featured a lot of updates, a lot of revisions, a lot of things happened with the SV650, made it a more interesting category contender to Yamaha's supremacy with their MT07 a few years ago. And the new SV650 is a pretty good bike. We had one last year as part of our giveaway series, so I got to spend a lot of time with it, got some good seat time with it, and I really liked it. It makes a great sound. It's got a really punchy engine. It's got pretty good fit and finish. It's got a nice metal tank. The whole thing just feels really nice to ride. I felt the throttle was a little bit snatchy. I felt like there was a couple things that I would personally change if it was my SV650 and not a giveaway bike. But the fact remains the SV650 is one of the most tried and true motorcycling platforms possibly of all time. You can update and modify an SV650 in lots of ways to make them even better. But the new 650 class is seriously tough, and the SV650 only manages 4th place in today's video. So let's see what the top 3 650 class bikes are. So number 3 on today's list, in my opinion, of the best 650 class bikes is the MT07. Recently updated with new looks and all that, that's coming out in 2021. This bike is updated, but really Yamaha did not change much about the engine and the frame or the suspension, which was a bit of a bummer, but they didn't really have to. The MT07 is a great motorcycle, features a 689cc parallel twin cross-plane crank 270 degree, and it makes one of the best sounds in all of motorcycling. It is seriously a gem of an engine, and it really makes that bike for me. Given its low weight, its fun, playful character, you can clutch up wheelies in 3rd gear on that thing. It is a ton of fun. It's ridiculous how much fun the MT07 is, but it hasn't really been updated much. As I mentioned, the front suspension on the MT07 is quite wonky. The front brake feel isn't really that great. There's just a couple things on that motorcycle that I feel like if Yamaha spent a little bit more time and just a little bit more energy, they could make the MT07 a fantastic contender in this category. But with new motorcycles coming out that are seriously coming to dethrone all of these motorcycles, it's difficult to say the MT07 is still the best of the best. It comes in at $7,699, and the new one's kind of just like a styling exercise, but it's still a pretty awesome motorcycle. I had a giveaway FZ07 I did in 2019, spent some seat time with that, and then earlier this year I got an XSR 700 that I had as a giveaway bike as well. So I've got some good familiarity with the platform, and they are a ton of fun to ride. Seriously, one of my favorite naked bikes that I've ever ridden. But number 2 and number 1 on today's lists might surprise you, but I have good reason for why I've put them on there. Now, number 2 on today's list is the Triumph Trident. Now, I know what you guys are gonna say, Yammie, you haven't ridden the Trident yet. Barely anyone has ridden the Trident yet. How could you possibly put it in today's list? There's a simple reason for that. Number 1, specifications, and number 2, Triumph build quality. Triumph's not gonna put out a motorcycle that's gonna feel like crap to ride, so I know for a fact the Trident's gonna be a pretty good machine. It features a Showa front fork, and the price is right. This thing's gonna cost $8,000 on the showroom floor. It's gonna have a TFT dash sort of integrated with its new system. It's got a 3-cylinder 660cc engine, which is quite different for the category, and I really do think it's gonna be a stellar motorcycle for the 650 class. Now, if you guys saw my reveal video of the Triumph Trident, I went really deep in depth of why I think this motorcycle is going to be a seriously killer addition to the 650 class. The Trident is going to be seriously one of the best bikes in this category, but it really remains to be seen if it's going to live up to all that hype. Now, I'm putting this out there in this video right now. I have a Triumph Trident on pre-order that I'm probably going to be doing as a giveaway bike, but I was so excited about the motorcycle and to show you guys what it's all about that I've got one on pre-order and I will be ordering one. I'm getting it in the white configuration, so I will let you know all about that bike and if it truly deserves number 2 on today's list. Now, number 1 on today's list of the 650cc class bikes ranked and all this stuff is another bike that I've actually put a pre-order on. I will be doing it as a giveaway next year if we can line it up and do everything correctly. It is, of course, the Aprilia RS660. Now, the RS660 is another one of those bikes that very few people have ridden it, but the people who have ridden it have been raving non-stop about it. I'm thinking about the ride that happened in California where Ari Henning and a couple other guys met out there and did a demo day with Aprilia. Aprilia recently did a demo day out here at Coda. I received invites to none of them because everyone hates me and I hate everyone, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. Just kidding, the schedules didn't line up. But the Aprilia RS660 is a fantastic motorcycle. Really kind of a different approach to the 650 class. So the Aprilia is gonna come in at $11,299. It's gonna have all the electronics and the goodies that you'd ever want. It seriously has literally all the same electronics as the RSV4, which is pretty awesome. So all the APRC stuff. It's perfect for road use and the occasional track use. It features a 100 horsepower, 270 degree, 660cc parallel twin that's just gonna be an absolute rocket ship of a little street bike, and I'm very excited to get my hands on it. So as I mentioned, this is a bike that I have on pre-order. I will be getting an Aprilia RS660 to try and review because I don't want to be talking about it without having reviewed it. But upon initial impressions and reviews that I've seen of the bike and some of the specifications and all that put together, all that information synthesized into one thing, it is difficult for me not to place the Aprilia RS660 at the top of the heap for the 650 class. So much like the Trident, I will be getting both of those motorcycles and I will be letting you guys know what I think of them, riding reviews, all kinds of stuff, and if everything lines up, I will be doing them as a giveaway bike as well. Well, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? I'm sure all the Honda boys are already clamoring away why I should definitely put the CB650R higher than I put it on my list. I'm sure the Kawasaki boys are telling me I'm all wrong too. If you think I'm wrong, if you think I'm right, leave me a comment down below. Thanks so much for watching the video, and I'll catch you next time. Between this and my desert sled, you might think I'm just some horrible biscotti boy, but really, if you click this video right over here, I will prove to you that I love more motorcycles than just Ducati biscottis. Click it and find out.